This week has been truly terrible for crypto and especially for the altcoins, but some altcoins are getting hit more than others. Dogecoin is one of the worst performers. Let's have a look why and let's see whether or not it makes sense to buy this dip now. Because that's the whole idea of crypto, right? We want to be buying low and selling high, and currently we are lower compared to last week. Where could the potential bottom be? Let's have a look at relative valuation charts. Let's have a look at data most people are not considering. Now here are the top 10 cryptocurrencies in terms of their market cap. Bitcoin lost 2.5% this week and a bit under 4% today. Dogecoin lost 22% this week and 13% today. It's the worst performer among the top 10 cryptocurrencies. And this is actually no surprise. I've published several videos on Dogecoin on this channel in the last weeks. And the titles haven't been that bullish. But especially this video, Dogecoin crash incoming, it outperformed the regular video by 2.1 times. So the average video is here in gray, and that was the crash video. And here's the reason: when you watch crypto content on YouTube, that you mainly get very bullish videos. You get a lot of shills, you get a lot of people that say we're going to go to 200 and 300k in Bitcoin. The reason is, whenever you are bearish on a video, you do get thumbs down. And that's obviously bad for the YouTube algorithm. That then means that the video spreads less. So have a look at this. This is a Dogecoin crash incoming video. It only got 83% thumbs up versus thumbs down, and the channel average is 96%. And here's one of the major reasons why I was not bearish. This is the Dogecoin dominance chart. So this shows how many percent of all of crypto in terms of market cap are in Dogecoin, and it seems to be trading somewhat in a corridor. And with the rally where everybody got so excited, we hit the upper ceiling. And have a look at that same chart today. The air indeed was getting thin for Doge. It underperformed the rest of crypto by 28% so far. And it doesn't necessarily look like this is the floor, right? Simply just judging by this dominance chart. Now Bitcoin just fell below the 100k. Are we going above it again, or is this the end of this bull market? Now Bitcoin went briefly above 100k, now is back down below, and of course there is some correlation in crypto, right? When Bitcoin goes down, then a lot of other altcoins tend to go down as well. Is this now already the cycle peak? Actually, I do not think so. What we've got over here is the stablecoin market cap. So how much Tether, how much USDC, how much BUSD is floating around. And whenever this goes down, this means that people are withdrawing money from crypto. Whenever this is going up, this means that crypto is expanding. So traditional finance is depositing money into the stablecoin issuers that then issue the tokens on chain. And it's nice to see that this chart is relatively low in volatility, and we can very clearly see if we're currently in an upwards trend or in downwards trend. Money still is flowing into crypto. So in aggregate, in the grand scheme of things, I do believe that the bull market will continue. Will Dogecoin outperform? Again, this dominance chart doesn't really show the best momentum, right? The price itself could go up, but let's say when Bitcoin goes up by 20% and Dogecoin goes up by 10%, it's still not a great bet. Now this is a stablecoin market cap over time. But we can also have a look at the stablecoin dominance. So how much percent of all of crypto is currently in stablecoins? And when this is very high, so over here, 19% of all of crypto was in stables. So let's take the exact date here, the 9th of November, 2022. That was over here in this chart when Bitcoin was at 16%. Then all of the stablecoin money gets deployed into crypto. Less and less of crypto is stablecoins. And we've seen a peak in the middle of March of this year and just recently at the beginning of this month. Here's the middle of March of this year. Here is recently at the beginning of the month. So whenever we peak in the Bitcoin price, we tend to be very low in the stablecoin dominance, right? So after the middle of March, we saw a correction of Bitcoin of more than 26%. And so currently it appears as if the stablecoin dominance tends to rise again. And the rising dominance again means that people are rather cautious. So very short term, we might see a bit more of a correction. If we look at several months, though, I do believe that the bull market will continue. So the quickly deployable capital is likely going to take somewhat of a breather. But since there's still money flowing from traditional finance into crypto, the overall trend is still okay. So I'm not saying that Dogecoin has to go to 15 cents or to 10 cents or to 5 cents. I'm simply saying that Dogecoin is likely going to underperform. It might stay at the current price while Bitcoin continues to rise. Now, to a degree, a bet on Dogecoin is a bet on risk on assets. It's a bet on the altcoin market as a whole, because Dogecoin itself is already pretty large in market cap. So we need to see a rotation from Bitcoin profits into the altcoins for Dogecoin to really outperform. Now, there is a very nice indicator to measure measure the altcoin seasons. And that's the others dominance. So this shows how much of all of crypto is in the altcoins that are not in the top 10. Dogecoin is in the top 10, it's at number 7, but still when the others dominance goes up, of course Dogecoin gets carried with this as well. And this is a very interesting curve, right? At the beginning we've seen our adoption, we still see sometimes an altcoin season, sometimes the altcoin correction. And if we just take those two imaginary lines, then the altcoins might underperform the rest of crypto maybe by another 13%. And maybe during the same time Dogecoin will do worse. It might drop by 50%, maybe even 55%. But there will be a floor at some point. It's always a matter of risk versus reward. And what I find interesting is that in those relative valuation charts, we very often see comparatively clean trends. So what we see over here is Dogecoin relative to Bitcoin. And we see starting from 2014 all the way to 2021, lower highs across the board. So the rallies tend to be more and more muted against Bitcoin. But then there was this breakout here. And after the breakout, we tend to see lower highs again. And isn't this interesting? When we overlay the exact same trend, we tend to again see how those tops align. And so really, what's the potential reward here? Maybe 25%. What's the potential risk? 50%. Again, versus Bitcoin. And I think it's important to look at relative valuations. Again, because correlation is so high. When the market is going down, then pretty much everything is going down. It's very unlikely that we're going to hold the assets that outperform. In other words, it's very important to look at the overall market. And when Bitcoin and Ethereum is highly correlated with Dogecoin, then we want to get more performance versus Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Bitcoin is way less risky than Dogecoin, so we should get more performance. Why else take on the additional risk, right? More risk should mean more performance. Otherwise, it's a worse risk-adjusted bet. Now here are correlation coefficients of various altcoins relative to Bitcoin and to Ethereum. So the correlation coefficients to Bitcoin are here in the first column. The correlation coefficients to Ethereum are in the second column. And there is positive correlation across the board. And over here we see Dogecoin. Now the correlation coefficient with Ethereum and Dogecoin is higher than with Bitcoin and Dogecoin. In other words, Ethereum tends to move more in line with Dogecoin than Bitcoin does. And so have a look at this. This is Dogecoin relative to Ethereum. And again, we see three tops aligning quite nicely. And one more time, we've got comparatively high risk, more than 60%, maybe even 70% versus not so much reward, 36%. And so nobody knows for certain where the price is going, right? It's all just a bet of expected values. There might be some manipulation by the centralized exchanges or by the market makers, right? Nobody knows. But in the absence of those kinds of moves, I believe it's more likely than not that Dogecoin will continue to underperform the rest of the market for the next few days, potentially weeks. The momentum is simply not that pretty right now. Now here's the thing. There are plenty of topics within crypto that aren't very sexy, but that are, I believe, very vital to make money long term. For example, concepts like correlation. What we see over here are correlation coefficients. Did you know, for example, that most altcoins tend to be more correlated with Ethereum than with Bitcoin? In other words, it's not when Bitcoin goes up that the altcoins go up as well. It's rather when Ethereum goes up, then the altcoins go up as well. Or did you know that the correlation coefficient of the S&P 500 to Ethereum and thus the altcoin market is actually quite volatile? In other words, it does make sense to also own stocks, not just Ethereum, not just crypto. The common narrative is that when traditional markets go down, that crypto tends to go down as well, right? That crypto is simply just a levered bet on, say, technology stocks. That's not the case. The correlation coefficient is relatively close to zero. Or do you know the long-term expected returns of various asset classes, of say gold, of say the S&P 500, of Bitcoin, of altcoins? When we don't just own crypto, but we also own property, for example, and we've got that portfolio, what kind of returns do we need in order to beat monetary debasement, but also in order to at some point to get financially free? How much money do we need to have enough passive income to not having to work anymore? What are expected long-term returns, and how much should we actually allocate towards crypto and towards property, towards stocks, gold, bond, etc.? What actually makes sense? When there are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars on the line, not having this properly nailed down is a huge problem. And when the market isn't that great anymore and the upside for Bitcoin could be somewhat limited, how can we still make money? How can we make money from charts like this? What we see over here is Balancer relative to Ethereum. We can make money by shorting this. Balancer has very bad tokenomics, the supply increases over time, and so it tends to do worse than Bitcoin and Ethereum over the long term. And we can make money from that, again, from the relative valuations, not just from US dollar valuations. When we look at how quickly is the monetary base expanding, and we put this into relationship to how quickly are salaries increasing, we actually see that pretty much everybody is falling behind over time. And this is not just true for the poor people, this is even true for the top 5% of earners. By the way, if you earn $500,000 per year, then you are in the top 5%. But yeah, data like this is useful. And those are not necessarily the sexy topics that work well on YouTube, right? On YouTube, it's the 100x altcoin gems that get all the clicks. But when you talk about diversification and correlation, etc., people just fall asleep. But it's the long-term planning, the long-term proper allocation towards different asset classes that actually make the difference. And so have a look at all of this. Those are tutorial videos of the premium membership of this channel. It's down below, thebitcointrader.com. There's more than 100 tutorial videos in total. What are my favorite crypto macro indicators? How do interest rates impact different asset classes? We've just seen how the market got spooked because the Federal Reserve might get more hawkish. Or how do we adjust our returns for risk mathematically, right? Everybody can get more returns by increasing the risk massively, but the idea is we want to get the best returns for the risk. And so there are ways to calculate this using alpha and beta. Those are all very complex topics, but I strongly believe that it's the skilled people, the people that have most knowledge, that tend to make most money over time. Now, besides all of those tutorial videos, there are also various chats in premium where I try to be active as well. So in case you've got any questions, just tag me in a message in those premium chats and I try to reply. The membership is currently $165 US per month. This is not for people that only have a net worth of $1,000, right? This is for people that actually have to manage wealth in the tens of thousands, preferably even hundreds of thousands of dollars. There is a 1-week money back guarantee as well. So in case you don't like premium, just message me within the first week and I refund you 100%. There's really zero risk for you. Now, if it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you in the next video or see you in premium. Cheers.